Today, on Guess What I Found Out, we're going to discover some facts about Russia's great geographic split. And here's the bold claim. Russia owns one of the richest halves of a country that almost nobody wants to live in. East of the Urals is 77% of the land. And, well, roughly a quarter of the people. And that number is shrinking. Curious George, welcome to the world's largest room no one uses, complete with diamond chandeliers and a broken heater. So, let's talk about this split. Imagine a vast country, divided by the Ural Mountains, with Siberia stretching out endlessly to the east. It's a land packed with natural resources, but honestly, it's also a place of lonely, desolate landscapes. If your landlord ever charged you for a luxury amenity you couldn't use, like the video, well, Siberia feels your pain. Draw a 1,500-mile granite zipper from the Arctic to the Caspian, the Ural Mountains. To the west, cities, rails, and most of Russia's people. To the east, Siberia, big enough to swallow continents and still complain about the draft. Siberia's average daily high is about 2 degrees Celsius, or about 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Oymyakon, the world's coldest permanently inhabited town, has dipped to minus 68 degrees Celsius, or 90 below zero Fahrenheit. Schools shut only when it's colder than minus 55 Celsius, or 67 below zero. Antarctica is like respect. Permafrost melts. Buildings sink, pipes burst, whole neighborhoods develop surprise basements. Under that icebox sits an economic cheat code, about $75 trillion in natural resources. Gas, oil, gold, timber, arable land, fish, iron ore, diamonds, and rare earths like neodymium for electric motors and terbium for screens. Russia holds the world's largest proven natural gas stash. About 78% of it is in Siberia. Imagine owning Fort Knox and deciding the vault door is optional. So, just think about it. Siberia is positively brimming with resources. Gas fields, mines, precious minerals, you name it. The sheer wealth beneath the surface is, well, staggering. If you've ever had money in the bank but refused to buy a space heater, subscribe. You and Siberia would get along. Alaska, also freezing, grew on gold, then oil back in 1968, added the Alaska Highway and the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, layered in stable governance, a permanent fund dividend, and, well, plenty of federal support. The result? People moved in for the paycheck and, the services. Siberia? Long distances, thin roads, ports iced half the year, and a sort of we'll-fix-it-later approach to infrastructure. People do notice, of course. Norilsk permafrost plus heavy industry plus lax maintenance equals buildings tilting like they're auditioning for Pisa. Chemical spills, rivers turning red. Locals report black or red snow and blue fog, like it's just a seasonal colorway. Norilsk, is infamous for its environmental woes. The ground is so unstable that buildings tilt and sink, while the air and soil are, well, thoroughly polluted. Life here is a daily reminder of industrial excess. So, about getting around, roads and rails, like the Trans-Siberian Highway and Railway, stick close to the south. Once you're east of the Urals, the quality, drops off dramatically. During the rainy season, from June to October, that so-called highway becomes a real choose-your-own-adventure. Driving from Irkutsk to Vladivostok? That's more than 52 hours by car, or about 71 hours by train, assuming, of course, nothing breaks along the way. Arctic shipping? Russia might have the world's largest icebreaker fleet, but it's still a logistical headache. Every summer, wildfires turn the Sakha Republic into a smoky mess, and the response, well, let's just say it's more aspirational than effective. And, believe it or not, Oymyakon still lacks indoor plumbing for much of the year. Siberia's story began as an imperial annex, really, a place to extract furs and collect tribute. Roads were built to control the land, not to serve its people. Under Stalin, the region transformed into a vast forced labour machine, up to 18 million souls sent to the gulags, with around 3 million never returning. The Kolyma Highway, grimly known as the Road of Bones, from Magadan to Nizhny Bestyak, was built by prisoners. An estimated 130,000 died constructing it. The Norilsk Railway? Same tragic story. After 1953, many grand northern projects were simply abandoned, but the isolation, well, that remained. Now then, to really understand the story, we need to take a step back and look at Siberia's past. For centuries, this vast region was shaped by both imperial ambitions and the iron grip of Soviet rule. The infamous gulags, those forced labour camps, were scattered across the landscape, and the Kolyma Highway, well, it became a grim symbol of suffering and endurance. It's a history marked by hardship, resilience, and frankly, a fair bit of tragedy. So, after the Soviet Union collapsed, there was a brief uptick, but then, well, decline set in. The Russian Far East is down about 20% since 1991, and the Siberian Federal District has dropped around 10% since 1989. Norilsk's population, just for good measure, was falling again by 2021. You know, policies offering free land, 1 hectare if you fancy, plus tax breaks and a sort of desperate please move east energy, haven't really worked. The war in Ukraine, by the way, has hit these eastern regions especially hard. In places like Buryatia, men were far more likely to die than Muscovites. Locals, meanwhile, look at Chinese investment with a healthy dose of suspicion. Protests keep erupting over plants and pipelines that export the value and leave the pollution behind. Honestly, if your boss keeps promising exposure instead of pay, just know Siberia has been paid in exposure since the 17th century. We said Russia owns a treasure house half that almost nobody wants to live in. And well, here's the proof. First, geography and climate. The Urals split the country, and Siberia's got lethal cold plus permafrost that eats buildings for breakfast. Second, resources versus reality. There are trillions underground, but barely anyone living above. Third, infrastructure gaps. Roads, rails, ports, utilities, all thin or failing across these immense distances. Fourth, history and policy. Extraction has always trumped habitation, control over services, and incentives just don't make up for the sheer costs. The result? Wealth flows out, and populations keep trending down. So, to sum up, it's geography and climate resources versus reality infrastructure gaps and a long history of policies that favour extraction over people. That's why so few stick around. So, Curious George, got any other wild facts about Siberia? Ghost cities, frozen pipelines, weird rail hacks we missed? Drop them in the comments, would you? I'll pin the sharpest one.